What is going on YouTube? It is Markus with the GnG Elite Dragon Ball Super Team. I'm here today with a deck profile. As you can see, this is my list that I made top 32 at the Celebration event in Orlando. It is the blue-black Hirudegarn list, popularized over the Celebration events after the release of the Power Booster Demigra. So we'll jump right into the list. First off, we have Champa. It's just a good way for us to close the game. The deck doesn't have a lot of double strikers. In fact, main deck has a single double striker and at all costs to finish the game with. Then we have 3 Awakening Talent Pan. Alongside Pan, we have 3 Tapion and 3 at all costs. These are our sources of awakening, though at all costs is used to end the game as well. Pan is our primary source. It's our most useful source because it's repeatable and it doesn't lose us any card advantage. But the tempo play from Tapion is very relevant as well. We had 3 Peel-Off main deck. It was a concession to decks like Victory Strike and the Shenron decks that attack multiple times with triple attack. It was very good overall. It could be another card, but for the most part it was fine. We have 4 Hoi, our super combo of choice. Best super combo in the game, not much to say about that. Again, 3 Tapion, another awakening tool. I don't think I'd change the ratios any. I liked 3, 3, and 3. We had 4 Raging Spirit Son Gohan. This was a choice over the Infernal Villainy Cell or Combo Goku or whatever you wanted to play in that fashion. It helps stem the tides of aggression against other decks that play to the board, and it allows us to apply early pressure against the slower control decks. And it's blue, so if you charge it, it taps for blue energy. After that, we have our 3 at all costs. You almost never finish the game with this card. If your opponent taps out and they don't have sparking negates or whatever, maybe you can end the game with that. But most of the time, it's just there to take life and add more cards to your hand. But most of the time, it just gets negated. After that, we have 2 Gogeta 5. Gogeta 5 was there mainly for decks like Baby as a source of removal, though we have removal built into our Demigra package. But it was fine overall. Most games you just charge it or discard it for leader skill, but it's there if you need it. Then we have 1 Kami. It was just kind of a 1 card that went in the deck. It didn't really make a difference. I never used it for its skill. It definitely could have been something else that was more helpful, like a second power overseeing time or a 4th Pan or something along those lines. We go into our Demigra package. We have 4 Encroaching Darkness Demigra, 4 Dark Control Demon God Demigra, and 4 Temporal Darkness Demigra. The combo that was introduced with the new Power Booster Demigra, if you don't know, is if you have Overwhelm 4 for this Demigra, it says all 7 cost Demigras in your hand have Xeno Evolve for 3. So you can Xeno Evolve onto this Demigra for 3 energy. And so turn 3, with 3 energy open, you can Overwhelm for this, attack with it, Xeno Evolve into the 7-drop, and with the 7-drop skill, if you don't know, it's a relatively unseen card until recently. When it's played, you can warp one of your opponent's battle cards and play a battle card from your warp that costs 4 or less, and you usually get this guy. And this guy says when he attacks, your opponent has to send a card from their hand to the warp, or if it's a battle card, you combo with it. So overall, it's a huge tempo play. You get a large 20k body and a 30k body into play all at the same time, while removing one of their cards and then attacking with these large bodies that remove more cards from their hand. There's even a play you can make with this deck where if you can awaken turn 3, you go Overwhelm 4, play this guy, attack with it, Xeno Evolve for this guy, bringing this guy back, attack with your leader, discard on draw 2, awaken, untap 2, Senzu Bean, untap a 3rd energy, Xeno Evolve again with another Demigra, bringing this guy out. So turn 3 you have Dark Control Demon God and 2 Temporal Darkness in play. And that's a pretty hard board to handle. Obviously you don't want to do it against aggressive decks where they could just punish you for tapping out, but it is an option. We had 1 Power Overseeing Time in the main deck. In hindsight, I would have had a second in my 65 somehow. I'm not sure what I would have changed. maybe cut the Kami or change one of the cards in the sideboard. But overall, it was pretty good. It was mainly there for Janemba, which, if you can see over here, these were my matchups during the day, and it was well purposed in the deck. Having a second one would have made a huge difference. They had this 4/7 drop Demigras. It just goes with the full package. I wouldn't play any less than 4. 4 Dimension Magic, best blue negate you can play. 4 Phantom Flame Cannon. The card kind of fits with the theme of hand destruction. It's a blue card, and with your leader's auto on the backside at 4 more energy, it's very easy to attack with your leader. They go from 4 or 5 cards down to 3, let's say, and then you Flame Cannon 2 or 3 of those cards out of their hand. It's very easy to end the game following that with a Champa on one of your big 20 or 30k bodies. And of course, 4 Senzu Bean. Most of the times you don't use it as the defense, you just use it as an aggressive card to make more plays in one turn. We'll move on to the sideboard. 3 Weeks Coercion, just for the aggressive decks. It's not bad versus Janemba when you just want to cut cards like Gogeta 5. 3 Ready Stance Son Goku for the decks that try to OTK you, and it's not bad versus Vegeta Baby. 2 minus Killy Zone for the decks that play Bloodlust. 3 Time Control Cronoa, mainly for the Shugash decks like Veggies if you happen to play against any, or anybody brave enough to play multiples, because it's hard to keep up with the tempo of those decks. And then we have 3 Haru Haru. Haru Haru may not be your most ideal option to bring back, but it can cause some pretty insane plays, bringing it off of the 7-drop. But even then, just for 3, being able to untap 4 is fine on its own. And 1 Black Mass Sand Splintering Mind. For those of you that don't know, this card is only here for its first auto, which says when it enters play, well, you may warp one of your opponent's battle cards. It's just another piece of removal against decks where that matters. So we'll go over my matchups from the event. First round was Red-Blue Hirudegarn. It was a relatively 50-50 matchup. The hand control aspect works for the most part, and if he got a train of 1-drop Trunkses rolling, it made it difficult to hold his hand down and stop the pressure at the same time. But Raging Spirit comes in clutch there, along with Tapion being able to reset cards that he's played to the board. Aside from that, if he Zenos you, that can be difficult depending on if you draw the combo or not. Drawing the combo after they Zeno is almost impossible for them to come back from. But in game 2 of this match, he Zenoed me and then played hit turn 5 and hit again turn 6. And that's almost impossible to recover from unless your hand is full of negates. And even then, if you're burning them to defend and you don't have a recovery play, then you still lose. But otherwise, games 1 and 3 went in my favor. Round 2 versus Shenron Kidbu. He barely got me game 1. He just did Shenron Kidbu things, had Battering Laser from a negate, stuff like that. Games 2 and 3, I drew multiple Ready Stance Son Goku, Weeks Coercions, and Dimension Magics, and Pilafs, and he didn't have Battering, so I was able to grind through that and end the game. Rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6 were all Janemba. They all basically went the same way. The only variance being round 4, I played against a player who was very, very good. He was undefeated after Swiss, and we went to 3 games. All 3 were very close games, and the third game he milled 2 of my Temporal Darkness Demigra. I ended up getting it back with the Power of Sync Time Trunks, but again, had this been like another Trunks, if I actually had any more cards on my sideboard that were good for Janemba, it would have made a huge difference, but I didn't. And so I ended up losing that game. I won round 5 versus another Janemba deck, and round 6 played against Anthony Hernandez. 2 very close games, and he ended up securing it in the third game right around the time when time is called. I ended up placing 32nd at 4-2 with the second highest 4-2 placement, with a opponent match win percentage of 70%. My only losses in Swiss were Anthony and what was his name? Philip Pena, who went 6-0 in Swiss. Had I beat Anthony in round 6, I would have placed 6th or 7th overall. So I'm not disappointed with my performance. It was good overall. I would have made a couple slight changes had I had more time to prepare, but I kind of built this at the last minute. Again, I probably would have included another Power Overseeing Time, and but a lot of this isn't as relevant because a lot of new cards have been introduced to the format with the release of Set 6, Destroyer Kings, and so it's interesting to see how the game is going to change due to that. Tien would be a must-add staple to the sideboard to help combat Janemba's ability to untap things with Sensu Bean and Dimension Magic. But other than that, the deck played very well. I very much enjoyed it, and I definitely would play it again. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. But this has been Markus with GnG Elite Dragon Ball Team, and stay elite.